Hi, everybody. Welcome to an introduction to Pear Deck. My name is Mary Alice, and with me I have Mike. We're going to introduce ourselves a little more in depth in just a second, but I want to let you know that Mike and I have worked together before. We actually co-authored in 2019 our How-to Handbook, which is a great resource for you. And Mike just recently re-updated that into a remote learning model. So we'll make sure that you know how to check that out before we leave today. My name is Mary Alice Foutz. I live in Burlington, North Carolina, and I'm a former educator myself. I taught elementary school for 12 years total, half my time in kindergarten, the other half in third grade. I use Pear Deck extensively with my students. I'm really happy to be able to share it with you all today. We're going to get you into some of those basics of Pear Deck and dig in a little bit deeper when Mike gets started. You can follow me on Twitter right here at MA_Pear Deck. I tweet all throughout the week lots of tips and tricks of ways that teachers are using Pear Deck in their classroom, innovative ways that maybe you haven't thought of yet. And I'll let Mike introduce himself now.
Hi, I am Mike Mohammad. I'm a science teacher in Brookfield, Wisconsin, just outside of Milwaukee, and I've been teaching for 20 years at the secondary level, and I just realized when I was looking at some old files today that November 2015 was one of the first times I actually taught a Pear Deck lesson. So 5-year anniversary right around the bend. So excited to share with you today all that we have about getting started with Pear Deck and maybe a couple of advanced tips as well.
Great. You got an anniversary coming up. You're a pro. Let's see what we're going to get covered today. We're going to learn how to build a Pear Deck lesson. It's a very simple process. We're going to explore the different views that Pear Deck has to offer, spend a little bit of time in our student pace mode, get you guys to play around with that functionality. Then you're going to learn how to end the actual Pear Deck session and extend beyond the Pear Deck lesson if you choose to do that. So let's go ahead and get started. The first time that you want to use Pear Deck, it is actually going to be within your Google Slides always. But the first time that you want to use it, you do have to make sure that it's installed. I'm going to walk you through those steps right now, but it's probably best advice if you not try to do it as I do it so you don't get off track, and you can always review this again if you need to. So to install the Pear Deck add-on within Google Slides, I'm going to come up here. I'm making sure I'm in my slides. I'm going to come over to my add-ons drop-down tab. After I click that, I'm going to click Get Add-ons. From here, you'll see Pear Deck pop up. You click on that icon, install it, allow all those permissions and good things, and then you'll be ready to use it. So you only have to install it one time, but you do need to open the Pear Deck add-on each time you intend on using it. To do that, I'm going to go back to my add-ons, and you should see Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on. Open the Pear Deck add-on. When I click here now, I'm going to have the Pear Deck sidebar appear. This is where all of my Pear Deck magic is going to happen. This is where I will be doing my creating of my lesson and starting my lesson. So over here, we have a template library. We also have custom question types. Today, we're going to start in the template library because that's a very easy place for you all to get started. And we're going to explore some of these sections, but Mike, go ahead and tell us what your favorite template is.
My favorite template, I really love the ones starting out the class, but being a science teacher, there are some really great science ones there with some concept mapping, but I really do love the start of the lesson ones as well.
So I just scrolled all the way to the bottom of our template library, and Mike was referencing that he really likes the science ones, right? Because he's a science teacher.
Yeah.
But we want to let you know that we have subject areas for all types of subjects and all types of learners. We have example questions that are great for any content area. We even have a template set for littles. So we get this question a lot: can our youngest learners use Pear Deck? They absolutely can. It is simple enough for them to use. But we also have math, science, social studies, world language, and ELA templates. Here's the best part about our templates. No matter which section you're in, they are all 100% customizable. So you can use them as is if you'd like, but nothing is set in stone. You can actually tweak them and make them personalized for your students. I always encourage teachers, no matter what subject they teach, to just click in a different section. It's really just one click and a little bit of scrolling. You might just find a template in that section that you want to use with your own students. Maybe it's a Freyer model down here. Maybe it's back at the top and that's this Venn diagram that you want to use with your students. You can do that with one click of the button. and tweak it as needed. I am going to show you how to do that in just a second. But let's highlight our social emotional learning templates. This section is not just for the guidance counselors at your school, it's for everyone. And they're going to have a particular extra value in our current world circumstances. So, who would have thought way back in March when this global pandemic started that we would still be talking about it in November? Like, none of us, we probably would have never made it. We've all been through some sort of trauma. Our students are included in that. These are a great way for you to check in with them to see how they're doing. And if your students are not face to face with you every day, these are going to be a way that you can build that relationship with them because you're not getting that normal face to face interaction. We have things like a moment of silence. What's filling your bucket today? What's draining it? Stress checks. These are great to put in any content area and use as you see fit. So let me back out of that section. Let's go all the way to the top of the template library. Mike mentioned that he liked the beginning of lesson section. This whole 3-pack right here, this will help you build your lessons from start to finish, should you choose to do that. So we have beginning of lesson, which are great for activating prior knowledge. We have during lessons, which are great activities all throughout your lesson. And then we even have end of lesson templates that are great for exit tickets and having your students reflect upon their learning. Today, I'm going to click into the beginning of lesson section, and I'm going to show you just how easy it is to actually use a template. Let's scroll down. I'm going to select this one that says, what are we wondering about today's topic? When I click this, I only have to click it one time, and a brand new slide will appear in my slideshow over there to the left. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. All of our templates were designed with best practices in pedagogy in mind. They are instructionally effective to use as is, but you can see that this one is pretty broad. So let's change it to meet our needs today. We're going to figure out what you are wondering about Pear Deck instead of what are we wondering about today's topic. We'll be more specific. But keep in mind, I can change anything else on here that I would like. So for example, if you're a cute font person, you can still use your cute fonts here. You could change the background color. You could change the thought cloud. You can even change the artwork. Now, I happen to really love our artwork. I think it's amazing and simple and cute. But if you have something different in mind, I want you to know that it's just layered on as clip art. So if you need to delete that out and insert something different, you can absolutely have the power to do that. And if you're in that Bitmoji craze in education right now, Mike, I think, has a Bitmoji. Do you have a Bitmoji, Mike?
I definitely do have a Bitmoji.
I have a Bitmoji too. I'll spare you from ours today, but just know that you could put your face on this slide if you would like to and create that extra layer of personalization for your students, especially if you're not seeing them every day. So that was just how easy it was for me to grab a template. Again, I could use it as is, or I can tweak anything on there to be more suitable for my students' needs. But let's talk about regular Google Slides. Maybe you've already been using Google Slides with your students, and that's great because you do not have to start from scratch with Pear Deck. You can actually add Pear Deck interactivity to any of your existing Google Slides. So if you already have content on them, for example, like something I'm showing you right now, if I was using this in my class as is, I might ask my students to raise their hand if they agree or disagree, or if they're younger, give a thumb up or a thumb down. Even if they're face-to-face, maybe come to the board a few at a time. And that's great. We have really good intentions as teachers when we do that, but we don't always hear everyone's voice that way. This is where Pear Deck can come in and really change things for your students. If we look right over here underneath the template library, we have 6 custom question types. I'm going to briefly describe what all of these question types do, but know in just a minute, Mike's going to take over. He's going to start that Pear Deck lesson, and he's actually going to let you play around and feel and experience all of these tools from the student perspective. This will give you a really great way to experience that so you'll know what they can do when you're designing your lessons. The first question type that we have is text. This is our short response answer where students can type whatever they need to. We have choice responses, so this will be our multiple choice. Next to that, we have our number slides. So if you teach math, this is a great tool for you. Students can only enter a numerical value, and when you as the teacher are looking at those responses, they will actually display in a range of responses and numbers. Next to that, we have our ever popular website slide. Now, I say this one's ever popular because you're going to use it a lot. It will allow you to embed just about any website on the internet right within your Pear Deck lesson. If you've already been using tech tools during this time or before this time, you don't have to stop using them. It doesn't have to be either or with Pear Deck. You can actually embed your Kahoot or your Flipgrid, your Screencastify, your Edpuzzle, whatever it is, right within your Pear Deck lesson. Pear Deck can actually be that hub of your learning so your students aren't having to go out and come back in. And that really works great for any age range of students. The next two we have are our drawing and draggables. Now, our drawing tool does a lot more than draw. We'll just let Mike tell you all about its functionality when we get there. But I can briefly describe our draggables. Our draggables are actually icons that your students can drag around on the slide. You can add up to 5 per slide. You can even change the colors. Right now, I'm just going to quickly explore the different draggables that we have. So if I click that drop-down arrow, it's going to open up all of my options to drag. So here you can see some geometric shapes, stars, things like that. Next to that, we have operational symbols. We also have numbers. And then we have people and animals. We even have a pair for Pear Deck. And then right next to that, we have our punctuation marks. So you can see that you have a wide variety of options to choose from for just about any subject area that you are working on. You can actually add up to 5 of those per slide, even change the color if you need to. I'm going to click out of that. And let's go back to the slide that we were on, that regular slide that I want to add my interactivity to. If I wanted you all today to be able to circle if you agree or disagree, then the option I'm going to pick would be draw. I'm going to click it one time. Watch what happens when I do. You're going to see Perry pop up. He's really cute. He's going to do a little dance. He is terribly cute. I love him to death, but he's also really powerful. Don't let that cute face fool you. Anytime you see Perry at the bottom of your slides, you're going to have Pear Deck interactivity there. If this footbar happens to be blocking your content, feel free to move it down or around, but do not delete the footbar. If you take away the footbar, you're going to take away the interactivity. We definitely don't want that to happen. Now I'm going to show you one more thing before we get started with our lesson. This is one of our newest features. It's going to be really neat to you. If you've already been adding audio to slides, you know that that's kind of a complicated process before this button existed. The blue button right here underneath the question types allows you to add audio to any of your Google Slides. It's a very easy process. When you click this, you have 2 options. You can either record yourself live or you can upload audio. Recording yourself live works great for several different things. Let's pretend you're going to have an asynchronous lesson that day and you want your students to still hear your voice. You could record an encouraging message. Or maybe you need to record directions for your pre-readers or your non-readers. Or let's face it, it doesn't matter how simply we write directions as teachers, our students still don't always read them, right? So we could record them there and type them out. Hopefully one way will get to their brain. The record button also works really great if you need to model a fluent reading passage for your students or to provide a read aloud modification. On the other side, we have the ability to upload audio files. So if you are a music teacher, you can upload a symphony there if you need to. If you aren't the music teacher and you just want audio on your slides and music for your students to listen to, you can do that. But also imagine if you teach history, you could upload a famous speech in time for your students to hear, just like they were right there in the crowd. Now, today I am going to record for you live so I can walk you through the steps and show you how easy it is to get the audio on your slide. Hello, everybody. Happy Pear Fair Fall Edition. We hope you're learning a lot already and getting excited to use Pear Deck with your students. So I paused, but I could resume and continue recording if I need to. If I flubbed up already, I can delete and start over. But today I'm going to press save. And when I do that, I'm going to give you an important little step here. If it is important for you as the teacher to check the quality of that audio, you're going to press the play button right here. Now, I tell you that because once you click the blue Add Audio to Slide button, you as the teacher are not going to have access to that audio anymore. It will live on the student side. Mike will be sure to show you where that is when we get there. You might be like me, though, and not like to hear the sound of your own voice, so you'll never click that button. But if it is important to you, go ahead and click the play button, check it out, then click Add Audio to Slide. What's going to happen is you'll see a gray box appear in my right-hand corner. This is going to be just like the footbar. If it's blocking content, I have the ability to move it anywhere I need to. I can even make it smaller if I needed to do that. Sometimes teachers like to make it obnoxiously large and put it in the middle of their slides so their students don't forget to hear whatever they recorded. But today I'm going to make it smaller, put it back in the corner. And I just want to remind you, I can't click this now. It doesn't matter how many times I try to, I'm not going to hear anything. Mike will show you where that audio lives for the student to access. Now, let's recap before we start our lesson with Mike. I showed you how to add a template with one click of a button. I could use it as is, or I could modify anything on it if I needed to. I showed you how to add custom question types to any of your existing Google Slides. And I even showed you how to add audio. So let's pretend that you've done those things and you're ready to start your lesson with your students. When you are ready, in your sidebar, you're going to click the green Start Lesson button. Do not be tempted to click the white Present button above that. The white Present button will give you regular old Google Slides. You will not have any interactivity. You really don't want that button. Instead, you can remember you need the green Start Lesson button because it's green. So green means go. That will help you remember it's the one you need. When you click that, you're going to have two options as the teacher. We have Instructor Pace Mode and Student Pace Mode. Instructor Pace Mode is where you, the instructor, the teacher, are in control of how quickly your students are working through their slides. This is your real-time live teaching where you can guide them, facilitate, ask questions, model, whatever you need to do. This is real-time, whether your students are face-to-face with you in class, whether they're at home with you at on the comfort of their couch, or you have both simultaneously. This is your synchronous learning option. Now, on the other side, we have our student pace mode. Student pace mode is where the student is in the driver's seat. You do not have to be right there with them unless you want to. They can work at their own pace. This is your asynchronous option. But I want to give you some good news about our modes. You are not stuck in either mode. You can actually toggle freely between the two at your own will. And that's really great because if you accidentally start one way and you decide that you need the other way, you can switch on over and do that. But beyond that, you can blend the two together. This is actually what I recommend to you to do if you are remote as well. It's going to help you be able to follow that anatomy of a lesson plan, just like your kids were there face-to-face with you. You can do all your teacher-led and guiding over here. Then when you feel like your students are comfortable for their independent work, you can switch it on over to student pace mode and let them finish the lesson on their own. So, those are the basics of how to get started when you're creating your lessons. I'm going to let Mike take over now and let you get started joining the Pear Deck lesson.
All right. Thank you so much, Mary Alice. Now, when you do hit that teacher-led or instructor-led mode, this screen is going to pop up. Your Google Slides are going to transform into the Pear Deck projector view, or classroom view sometimes it's called. And you'll have a code for students to join with. They'll just head over to joinpd.com and enter this code. Now, if you try to enter this code right now, this session's actually going to be closed. But you'll be able to see how many students are joined, connected right now. You could also give students a link if you want to email it to them or post it in your learning management system. You can also send it to Google Classroom. Now, when I close this, once I see students have joined, this question is going to pop up. So I started on that question that we had for starting out our lesson. What do you wonder about Pear Deck? Now, you can see along the bottom here, we've actually had some students respond. We actually have 18 different students in this lesson, and 12 of them have actually responded. So from the classroom view, I can actually see how many students have already responded. Now, this is the classroom view or the projector view, what's going to be on the projector. Now, a student perspective of the same slide, this was a text slide. So they actually have the classroom view or whatever was projected paired up on their device. So that is one of the folklores of where the word pair came from. We have that pairing between the classroom view, what's on the screen, to what's on the student device. So a student could type in whatever they wanted to learn about the lesson, or think about if you're starting out, basically if you're trying to pull some knowledge from your students and get that heads up of what they're thinking, you could do it that way. Now, going back to the classroom or projector view, I can click Show Responses. Now, when I project these responses, what's really great is I can see where the students are thinking, but we're not tying names to student responses. So some students are really great at raising their hand. They want to be heard. They want to be identified as giving an answer. But this gives students that opportunity that are a little bit shy or maybe don't want to speak out loud or don't want to have their name tied to a response. This gives them their chance to have their voice heard as well. So we can see our different responses here, and we have a couple of different views. You can kind of see how these are laid out in a grid. That's because up in the left-hand corner here, I have this set as grid layout. I can also set this as a list layout too, and look at these responses one at a time. So right now, this is what would be on the projector, and this would be on the student view. So let's head over, turn off our responses, and let's go to our next slide here. So this here was, if we go to the student view, realize that when I switch that slide in the classroom view, it actually switched for the student as well. This is a drawing slide. So every student deserves a voice. There's a whole bunch of different ways I could interact with this slide. If I want to use this pencil here, I can choose a color and just draw right on the screen. I have the ability to erase. I can clear it. Another thing you'll notice, there's a little check mark there letting me know I finished this slide. Another thing I could do, and I'll show you a little bit later, is add text to the slides. But one other thing that Mary Alice did before we actually started the lesson, she added audio. If you look down here, there's this little set of headphones. If we click on the headphones icon, we'll actually see that there's a play button and an audio clip that's 10 seconds long. We also, as a student, see that there's that audio included bar letting us know that there's audio. So if we press the audio.
Hello, everybody. Happy Pear Fair Fall Edition. We hope you're learning a lot already.
Students will be able to hear this at their own leisure, or basically in their headphones. Now, I actually used this feature the other day, and it was really great because during my first block class, I actually had an IEP, so I wasn't able to be in class, but I had a set of slides set up for my lectures for the whole day. But what I did for my first block, I actually recorded audio for the different slides, and students were actually able to go through the lesson on their own pace and actually listen to that audio. So the other two classes I taught in real time, but that first block, because I had a substitute, they were able to listen to that audio at their own pace and actually go through the same notes and same lectures that the students were. So audio is a big add-on for the students who are looking to learn asynchronously, or possibly students who need a little bit of those vocal cues. Now, let's move on. So again, this was the same slide, but let's go on to this slide here. Now, this is just a text slide, and from the student perspective, there's no real interaction here. But along the bottom right, you'll see another button here. We saw it before next to the audio, but if we click on this, this will open something called Immersive Reader. And what this will do, it'll turn the text on the slide into a more viewable version, more readable, more reader-friendly version, and it can also do text-to-speech. So if I hit play on this,
Pear Deck is on a mission to help teachers deliver powerful learning moments to every student every day.
It'll highlight the words as we go through them and convert text-to-speech for our struggling readers. Now we can go to the settings, choose our reader voice, and also reader speed. In addition, for reading preferences, we have, I think, 80 different languages to choose from. Is that right, Mary Alice? Was it around 80?
It's over 80 different languages. It's amazing.
All right. So again, that's another great feature for translating slides. And again, a little visual icon if we click on a word to kind of help provide those multiple dimensions or multiple representations.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Immersive Reader is like a huge game changer for your students that have IEPs. They might have special needs, or your English language learners. If this is going to allow them to access the content on the slides and in your lessons like they've never been able to before.
Yeah. And again, for larger bits of text, we have line focus here, which again, I think is just so powerful, so powerful. So if we want to exit that as a student, again, this is the student view, hit exit. So again, this is not doing anything to the classroom view. So a student could be doing this and the rest of the class would have no idea. So we're not singling people out here. Student can exit, and then let's head back. Now, we're going to look at some of the different views. So we looked at a couple of views here. We looked at number 2 here, what's shown to the whole class, the classroom view or projector view because it'd be on a projector. We also looked over here at the student view. So again, this is the classroom view. This is the student view. Now the third view, you can see this teacher here has a little tablet right next to him where he has his own view. He or she has his own view. Now this could be on a second monitor or again on a mobile device. And this is the teacher dashboard. So on the teacher dashboard, we have a whole bunch of great features here. You can see along the left-hand side, we have basically a preview of the slideshow as it's going. So we can see what the next slide is. And what's highlighted here is the slide that we are on. And if you have any speaker notes in the actual Google slideshow, you can actually pull them up here and read off of them. Now, if we want to manage our students that are in the lesson, if I look up here, I can click on my number of students. 1 of 18 students is live. So these are all the students who logged into the lesson at some time. And the ones that are highlighted, the ones that are green are the ones that are currently in the session. So we'll be flipping back between those 3 different views while we go through this. So let's show you from the teacher dashboard, we have these controls, these arrows right and left, which you can actually use to remotely control the lesson. So if I go 1 slide forward, this is the slide that's going to be on the projector view. And realize I don't see any student responses right now, just which of these is your favorite. So this is on the projector. The student sees a draggable slide. So they have this little icon. They can drag wherever they want for where what their favorite is out of this Thanksgiving meal. And I'm a pumpkin pie person, so I'm choosing pumpkin pie. So if the teacher wants to show the responses, again, down here it says 13 out of 18. The teacher could show all the responses here. So looking at this, there's no names associated with these. We can see where we are as a class. Now, I'm going to switch over to the teacher dashboard. And again, the dashboard I can tell because there are these multiple slides along the side. Now, this is an overlay view. That means I see all student responses at once. Now, if I on the teacher dashboard take my cursor over this area here, I can see what specific students chose what specific items. I can see where they are. And if I scroll down a little bit more, I can see the students who have yet to respond to this prompt. So really, really powerful on the teacher dashboard. A couple other views that we have in the teacher dashboard, and this is in the classroom view too. I can choose a list view here to see how each individual student responded, what they chose, or I could do a grid layout. And again, this lets me see a whole bunch of students at the same time. So in the dashboard, in grid layout, you can see each of these names here. But let me go back to the classroom view. So this is what's on the projector. No names associated with these. So students do not see who responded with what. Only the teacher really has that power. Now, another feature here, along the bottom, we have show and hide responses. Now, this other one I have is locking screens. So if I want students to stop responding, let's say, all right, I want you to stop, drop your pencils. Well, sometimes they want to keep on working. So hitting that lock screen will lock the student's screen. So from the classroom view, you can see that it's locked. From the student view, it says your teacher has locked responses for this slide. So it shows my response only. So other student responses are not being shared to your device. It's just a one-way flow. So for the teacher dashboard, again, we can unlock our screens here. One other feature for locking, if you hold down lock screen for a moment, you'll have a countdown clock. So let's say I wanted students to respond to this in 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, it will lock their screens, which is really, really great because sometimes it's good as a teacher to kind of that wait time in your mind. Sometimes 30 seconds might not be enough. So maybe a minute or 3 minutes is a good allotment of time for students to think. All right. Now, this drawing slide next here, we looked at a little bit, but what we didn't really look at is something called a text box. So we have these 2 different spaces to actually do writing. Now, it might be hard if you don't have a touch screen to actually write in that space, and that's where the text box comes in. if I click a text box, what's filling my bucket right now has to be my students. I do enjoy seeing many of my students face to face. So that has been really, really nice. So in terms of writing text, realize just by hitting that text, I can get a text box. Over along here, there's this sizer, and this applies to all the different pens and pencils. I can change the size of it as well and change the color too. So again, this idea of the drawing slide is not just for drawing. It is for text. It is for a whole bunch of different things beyond just typing. Would you agree, Mary Alice?
For sure. Oh, absolutely. It is like the most versatile slide that we have. You can do so much with it, whether you teach reading and need your students to highlight and annotate in their text, or if you teach math, this is going to be the slide that will allow you to show all that work out if they need to.
If I just have a plain ordinary slide that would just be notes, I will turn that into a drawing slide. So like Mary Alice said, students can annotate on it. So what we usually would just be a slide of notes, students can then draw, add their own notes themselves on it, and really get carried away with those digital note-taking skills. So
Yeah, and that works great too. Even for our youngest learners, you might be saying, well, my students aren't old enough to annotate, but don't forget your students, if you teach littles, they could use that highlighter right on the slide and find their sight words or the vocabulary words that you've been working on, or even use that pencil over there and practice their letter formation if they need to.
yeah, it's a really, again, it's one of those ones that you'll fall back on time and time again. All right, so let's head back to the teacher dashboard. And again, looking at our couple other slides, we already looked at a text slide, so we won't spend too much time on that. Now, this next example of a drawing slide here is a graphing slide. So any math teachers or even science teachers, I love having my students graph here. So I just want to show you another example of one of the newer features in Pear Deck. So let's say me as a student, I run into this question. I'm like, oh gosh, I have no idea. And you saw a couple of students actually put a little question mark. So if I look in at some of these students, they actually do have question marks if I look at the grid layout. All right, so there's Mike down here. He has a question mark. He's not really sure how to do this. There's this little speech bubble right next to here to leave feedback for students. So if you have a student who's stuck on a slide and really needs that extra help and they have a little time to work on it, you want to provide maybe a little prompt or a little bit of feedback, I'm going to do that for Mike here. So graph y equals x plus 2. So I'm just going to tell Mike, try one dot. What is y if x equals 0? All right, I'm going to send him that feedback. That might push him along to give him a hint of how to get started. So I sent that feedback to Mike. So let me go to so this is the teacher dashboard again. Let me go to the student view. And you'll see as a student, again, I am Mike. Down here, I see that I have feedback. So if I click on here, it'll see, oh, Mike, try one dot. What if y is x equals 0? So I could process that feedback, take it and act on it. Or maybe if it's just a nice phrase from a teacher, or maybe just some positive feedback on something I've done well, or just a little connection that you're having between teacher and student. So again, this feedback tool is pretty impressive. All right. Now, let's keep on going through this. Now we have the number slide next. A number slide for a student, it looks like a text slide, but they're actually able to type in numbers along here. And you can see these small up and down arrows where they can leap to different numbers. And another they can do, they can actually put in exponential or scientific notation, and it'll actually translate it for them. That's one thing my students discovered in some of our physics lessons. Now, from the teacher view, when they put in numbers, the overlay view is now going to give me a number line, or basically a spread or range of the answers that students have. Now, if I want to see the individual numbers, I can go to the grid layout here, and I can see individual responses. Now, let's say I want to highlight a couple of these. Let's say, ooh, I really liked what Samantha did. She actually properly used significant figures, because she went one beyond with the measurable unit is. So if I highlight her answer with the star and I show responses from the teacher dashboard, what this will do is on the classroom view, it'll show that one answer that I really want to highlight. So again, this ability to add stars. So these ones that went beyond just a whole number, just rounding, maybe I want to highlight those and show that, yes, these students went a little bit beyond the simple markings and actually did a good job of reading and reporting. So that is the star feature in the teacher dashboard. So if I clear the stars, we're seeing all of the student responses on the projector. Again, no names associated with it. Okay, let's keep on moving forward. So this next slide here is one we haven't seen before, a multiple choice slide. So which is the most important invention? So as a student, I have these multiple choices. I can choose any one I want. From the teacher dashboard, I can see how our class broke down. And if I highlight any of these bars, I can see which students are going with which one. And again, this is the overlaid layout view. If I project this to my class in the projector view, no names associated at all. And that's really nice. Again, students being able to put their name or put their ideas on the board or contribute without necessarily having to basically say their name, raise their hand, or be identified. That ability to be a risk taker if you're just a little bit shy or aren't really sure that you're getting the right answer. Now, this may be a very surface level question, and if you want students to dig a little bit deeper and explain a little bit more, along the bottom here in both the classroom view and the teacher dashboard, we have this thing called new prompt. And this is how you can extend the learning a little bit more if you would like, because it's not possible to just add a new slide in your Google slideshow and have it show up in a live Pear Deck. So this is how you do it. You'd click new prompt. Let's say, all right, I asked this question, but I really would like students to explain their thinking a little bit more. So I'm going to click new prompt. We have some different prompts up here that are already pre-programmed from the slide template gallery. Now, some of these are great for beginning a lesson or during a class if you want to take a quick temperature read, or at the end of the class if you want to close it out. But what I really love are this ability to use the current content and dig a little bit deeper. So what I would do is basically have students actually type some text out. Maybe say, all right, you chose one, but why did you actually choose that one? So the ability for students to actually type in that text in real time. So let's say I said airplane. Actually, I think I said personal computer. So if I look from the teacher dashboard perspective, you can see Mike Mohammad is typing in real time. So there's no need for me to hit enter as a student. The typing shows up live and on demand. So that's really a really great thing about Pear Deck too.
Absolutely. That is your formative assessment at your fingertips the whole time.
And I really love that ability to, on the fly, change it up. And again, hear from students and dig a little bit deeper. Now, the last type of slide that we haven't looked at that Mary Alice talked about was a website slide, embedding a website. So you'll see down here in the teacher dashboard, it says that I've embedded a website here. On the classroom view, it says I embedded a website, but I don't see the website. Only from the student view are they going to be able to see what I embedded. So this here is an HTML5 simulation from FET, Colorado, or I should say FET from the University of Boulder, Colorado. And they have a whole bunch of great simulations for STEM, math, and science. But you could embed a whole bunch of different things in here. You can embed a video. You could embed, like Mary Alice was talking about, a whole bunch of app smashing going on with Flipgrid, Kahoots. But I really love this idea of putting a simulation maybe at the beginning of a lesson, having students play around with something. And then the next slide, what I'd ask them to do is basically say what they saw. What did they observe? So from a student view, we played with a little bit. Now I want you to share with me what you learned about this simulation. What did you see? And then as a class, as a teacher, I can see what students were thinking. Are they seeing? And again, this idea of being able to springboard off of student ideas in your instruction is really going to come through. And again, if I wanted to share these responses with the class, put them on the projector, and honestly, my students love it. I can kind of get a sense of pride when I actually say their responses or share their responses, because they'll kind of hear, oh, that's mine, that one's mine. So they're more likely to actually identify if I'm presenting their ideas than they would normally. So that's really
Yeah, and or they're smiling ear to ear because they know you're
yes.
talking
And
about
again,
their
that's one of the
response.
great things about being able to star some of these answers. Like if you see a student who doesn't speak up very much, but you see they have a really good answer, if you star their answer and then put that one up on the board, I mean, you can make a student's day. It's a really powerful tool that you have in your dashboard to maybe highlight some student voices who don't get heard very much. All right, so we've gone through a lot in terms of the teacher-paced lesson. Now, I told you that when I was out for an IEP the other day, I actually had a student-paced lesson, and all spring when we were out on distance learning or virtual learning, whatever you want to call it, basically all my lessons were asynchronous. They had to be started student-paced. So there's a couple of ways, and Mary Alice pointed out, when you launch a lesson, you can start it as a student-paced if you want right away. But if you are currently in a session, let me hide these responses. I want to make this student-paced. There's a couple of ways I can do it. From these three dots here, sometimes I call them the snowman I should say. If I click on it, some more actions, I can turn on student-paced here if I want. Also, if I'm in the teacher dashboard, same place, I could turn on student pace. So sometimes you may have a set of notes, and at the very end, maybe you have 5 or 6 questions you want students to take some time and answer. You can just turn it on student pace. Now, when I do that, it's going to alert me that I'm putting it on student pace. And if I want to, I can copy this link and send it to my students or post it in an LMS. Now, what we'll notice is that along the side here, I'll have little student faces here. If I click on one of these, that'll tell me which student is specifically on that slide. So I can monitor progress right along the slide here and see which student is where. And I really love that. If I have students, maybe even in real time, I'm with my students and I can put it on self-paced, I want to check where students are. Maybe I want to make sure students are working through it, or actually get a temperature check into how well we're working through it. Or is there maybe a roadblock where all the students are kind of bunched up and gathering? Now, from the student perspective in self-paced, realize now they have their own control. So this is the student view. Students can walk through this lesson. Again, this is a great place for them to be listening to audio. But again, they get to move through the slides at their own pace. It'll let them know what slide they're on. They can move backwards and forwards. And that little check mark letting them know that they had completed that slide. All right, so again, student pace has been great for asynchronous learning in terms of my class. All right, now let's say we are ready to end this session, and we are going to end it. So I'm going to close this student view right here and just leave my teacher dashboard or my classroom view or projector view. So if I want to end it, I can hit the end right here. Now it's going to give me a little warning because I am in student pace. I have 2 options here. I'm in student pace. I can leave this, just exit out of here and let students keep on working. Or if I hit yes, I'm sure, I'm going to close it for all students. Now, if I go out of student pace mode, and if I hit end, it's not going to give me that warning. So basically, when you're ready to end a session, the best thing to do is to actually name it. And I usually like to name it, in terms of my students, I like to give it a date so I know when I gave it. Let's say it is 10/14, and let's say this is Intro to Pear Deck. And if you do have multiple sessions or sections, it may be helpful to say what block it is or what period it is. So let's say this is block 1, and I'm going to save and end that session. So takeaways. Let's talk about what takeaways are. So we talked a little bit about ending a session. And again, you can end the session from the More Actions menu. And just realize if you leave a session versus ending a session, you can always leave a session and that'll leave it open, and students can still work on it as well. Now, it's always a good idea. You can also name your session from the More Actions menu if you would like before you close it. But a takeaway. Takeaways are super powerful. And we talked before about students being able to annotate or highlight keywords or basically do a lot of work within the slides and even respond and interact with any slide. And takeaways, what they basically do is they send a Google Doc to every single student of their individual responses to any slide and the slides themselves. So the takeaway is a series of slides, all the slides from the presentation. And then in addition, if there is an interaction there, it actually shows what the student responded. Not what the whole class responded, just the individual student responses. And it gives them space to actually extend their learning a little bit further, where they can summarize or reflect on basically what they took notes on. So again, takeaways are really powerful.
These are also really great if you want your students to review before a quiz. They will always live in the shared drive within the Google Drive. Yes, they are emailed to students too, but if they get buried in the email, they always live in the drive. So students can access those again to review content before a quiz or a summative assessment.
And they're really great because basically I'll run all of my reviews in Pear Decks so that I have all my students who are taking the review in the session at the same time. We work through the problems, and then they'll have all of the questions and all of their responses all there in one document, rather than me copying 40 copies of the review and having every student work on their own paper copy. This is a great way to do it digitally and have students who are distance or in person reviewing at the same time. All right. Now, if you want to try out student pace mode on your own, we set up a series of slides for you to kind of experience all the different type of interactive slides within Pear Deck, also hear a little bit of audio and just really test it out from the student perspective. So to get to that, you'd go to bit.ly/pairpaste. And that'll take you to a self-paced lesson where you can kind of explore some of these interactive slides. We've set up this lesson for you to work through, get a sense of what those interactive slides are like, and see some of the other features that Pear Deck has to offer. So that was a lot of information, a lot of introduction from both of us. I really want to thank you for coming, Mary Alice. You did a fantastic job. You're
Oh, you did too, Mike.
A couple of different things. If you're looking for more resources, peardeck.com remote learning is a great place to find a whole bunch of resources. They have tons of videos. And what else do they have there, Mary Alice?
They have our How-to Handbook if they want to check that out. But they also have your updated version for remote learning. Lots of incredible things in there. If you like to read tutorial things, you can check out the handbook. But we also have broken down videos if you want to share them with your students in advance so they can kind of preview that and get a handle on it before you share it with them. But we also have broken down tutorial videos. So if you don't want to watch this whole presentation back again and you just want to know how to open the dashboard and use that, or just how to start your lesson again, those are broken down for you. So they're very easily accessible to you. We have really enjoyed spending our morning with you. Thank you so much for joining us at the Pear Fair. You can reach both of us on Twitter. You see that there, or email us if you have other questions. Thank you so much again. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.